There we go. All right. Give me my moment. There we go. All right. Give me. This is the Colecast podcast with your host, Cole Bovey.
That's me, people. Welcome today. When we get the show started here, first things first, I got to give my props and my huge thank you to my magical and awesome friend, Bruce Hoyer, the guy who made all this happen, give me this awesome equipment, the space, down here at Next Edge Academy of Martial Arts. This beautiful slogan, find more than a gym, find a community, which I find extremely true. Your first week's free, so you should check that out if you can. You got boxing, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, MMA, kids classes. You got fitness. Visit his Facebook page, check out a few things, or you can go www.nextedgeacademy.com. This place has produced a lot of good athletes, not good athletes, but really great athletes, and even better, developed a lot of good characters and great relationships down here. So come on down, check it out. Our guest today, and I'm going to apologize, and my daughter's going to yell at me, and my wife will yell at me, and Leo will make fun of me. But I got Leo Guerrero. Not bad, right?
Right.
It's okay. Enough. Close enough, yeah. I don't know. My name's Bovey, Boovy, Bofa. I don't know. Everybody always screws it up. Cole Booby? No. Anyway, a lot of people know him as Coach Leo. He's done a lot of soccer programs, a lot of developing here in the Sioux Falls area. But he's always, to be honest with you, we've had some short conversations, but you've been kind of one of those, I don't know, gravitating personalities. Like even as I bring my kids to the soccer field and stuff like that, you've helped keep an interest in it, and I'd say you're kind of the Pied Piper of the soccer community for the children. Like it's amazing. Like you get out there, and I joke that all the moms love you and all the dads want to be you, because you come out there and here you are, a handsome, charismatic guy doing your thing, and you got all the moms sitting there just kind of like, ooh.
No, I think they're just.
And then you got the dads that are sitting there looking, and they're going, well, I can't even be mad at him. He's cool.
I don't know
so
about that.
Yeah, no, seriously though, and like the kids, like when they're out there practicing, doing their thing, they are. It's fun because it's like herding cats, and you got some of the younger coaches you guys are trying to develop, and they're just kind of like, hey, no, it's just it. And then all of a sudden here comes Coach Leo, like a rock star out of the ashes, like a phoenix, just. And then the kids all come running around and do their thing. It's pretty fun to watch, but I tell you, it's just kind of one of those things where I'm like, Leo seems like a pretty interesting guy, and I bet you he has a pretty cool story and just some interesting stuff to say just about kids coaching. And I know you mentioned the one time that you grew up down in Mexico and ended up coming to the States, which I'm always like fascinated to meet people from around the world and get to know their story. I did grow up in California, so a lot of friends from Mexico and whatnot, and always like admired like some of my buddies like Angel and a few of those guys, so ended up losing touch with them over the years, but it's just kind of it's a cool scene. There's a lot of fun people to be around, stuff like that, and I appreciate the personalities and stuff that they bring, passion, and so that's why I saw Coach Leo out there. I'm like, I got to get to know this Coach Leo, so I'm going to do it publicly on the internet.
Not to put me in the spot or anything, right?
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you for the introduction. That's I don't know, it's way above and beyond. I don't know what to say. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries, man.
Very nice.
So yeah, thanks for what you do with kids. Like I said, when we were reaching out to maybe get our kids introduced and doing some stuff in some youth sports, I'm like, is there anybody out there? And they're like, check out Dakota Alliance. I'm like, okay, who do I contact? Dakota Alliance. And just like that, I had just people, Coach Leo's awesome, and just like I said, you're a pretty humble guy, but you got quite the following out there. Everybody, I say Coach Leo on the street corner, and like even yesterday I was talking, they're like, well, who do you got on your next podcast? And I said, oh, Coach Leo front, and they're like, oh yeah, we know Leo. Like, oh, he's awesome. I'm like, yeah.
Thank you.
So, yeah. But just kind of get things started. You know, what was it like growing up in Mexico? Like, what kind of start from the beginning, and just what it was like, just a little bit different. Like I say, you can go whatever direction you want with this, but it's just it's a different country. And I feel like, especially in the Midwest, not too many people know about different things around the world and just different places. So
Yeah. I want to again, I want to thank you for the introduction, and I want to thank you guys for having me today. It's a great opportunity, and I just can't thank you.
I felt like I put you on the spot when I emailed you the other day, and I was like, man, I want to give him an out because I don't want him to feel like he's locked into this, but like, man, I was really looking forward to it. So I say thank you.
As I was, so thank you. I want to say one of the biggest things about Mexico and here is obviously Mexico is not, it's a poor country, okay? And I don't want to get into politics and anything like that, but it's a small majority controls the rest of the population. Social classes, I mean, you can walk in the street and look at your left and look at a huge house, and then under steps there's people searching for scraps of food in the garbage. So I want to say one of the cool things about Mexico is I learned how to be humble. Because in my family, thank God, my parents were able to provide. We went to a nice school. We had a good education, which was huge for mom. But you never knew because you were always exposed to that ugly side. You were always exposed to kids in the street begging for food. You were always exposed to that ugly side. One of the things that I miss about Mexico is the family unity. And what I mean by that, I remember it was like 4 o'clock. Everybody sat down for supper together. No TV, no. I mean, thank God we didn't have iPads and cell phones back then. But it was just a meal. We sat down and we talked. Everybody did stuff together, and everybody contributed at home. Like, you didn't have chores. It was just like stuff that you did just because. It was a habit.
There was no bribing and stuff like that.
No, not at all. And then, and I don't know, another huge difference from here is like people ground their kids by sending them to the room. For us, grounding us, and kids go like, okay, I'll go to my room, play with my Xbox or whatever, right? For us, it was mom would be like, you guys cannot go play outside. And it seems like it's complete opposite to now, Like, parents ground their kids by, hey, go out and play, like, get out of the house. And for us, it was like, if we weren't allowed out of the house,
that
madness.
was it. Yeah. I grew up a little bit like that, I can assure you that. But I would agree, that is something that I've always appreciated, like, especially like my friends in California and stuff like that I picked up right away. That was a cultural difference. Like you said, it's the family unity is huge. And even like myself coming in, some of my friends, they were always super awesome and just like, come in, and just the love was there, and everybody in the development, like, it's a community family, which is awesome. So
very much so.
No, that's cool insight. I appreciate you sharing some of that stuff. And so I asked you to kind of type out a few things. Like I said, we're kind of getting to know each other a little bit. But you ended up going to, a little bit later in life, you ended up going to Tennessee. You said you were there with your aunt for some education stuff.
I had one of my aunts came that has lived in the United States since the early 90s, came back to visit in Mexico, and we threw around the possibility, maybe the opportunity for me to come and do a year of high school here, just so I could pick up some English and kind of better my education. So after a long talk, I ended up moving to Tennessee. I went to 2 different schools. I went to Smyrna High School, right up, I want to say, like 45 minutes east of Nashville. And then for my senior year, I moved to Grundy County High School in Coleman, Tennessee. It was very
tiny
small, but it was very nice. Tennessee people are super cool, very down to earth, very very outdoorsy. one of the things I was never able to pick up because I like my Wi-Fi and my running water a lot. But that's
yeah, we ended up Justman Dukes from Tennessee, if I believe, right, Bruce? Kentucky. Oh man, she's gonna hit me now for sure. I am in trouble. What if I said same difference? That'll really get fired up. I'm hoping to see her and Shayna when I go to LA this January. So yeah, I'm gonna do everything I can to get her fired up and hit me up on social media. But Jessman, she's a good friend of one of our good friends from Sioux Falls here. Yeah, she fought in the UFC and did a few other things, and,
Oh, wow.
and she was a model and stuff like that. But yeah, I couldn't remember if she was from Kentucky or Tennessee, but I knew somewhere around that area. But sorry, Jess. So, I guess when you came over here initially, you know, was there any sort of adversity as an immigrant that you had to deal with when you first came over here, or like anything that was kind of like a little bit of turn off, or because I can't imagine like it's
the food, man. The food was one of the first things that was like, oh man, this is so bland.
what did I do?
Yeah. No, I mean, and,
No, it's
you know,
true.
I was thankful for the opportunity. And
Yeah.
Again,
I get it.
schools in here are, you know, schools in here are a lot easier than they are in Mexico. Like, for example, one of my last years in school in Mexico, I had 13 subjects a day, okay? And you stay in the same classrooms, and it's 50-minute classes, and the teachers rotate. So you stay in the same classroom all day, and you have 13 different subjects the next day. And I came to the States, and it's like 4 classes a semester.
Yeah,
It
you're
was
rotating
like-
classes and
yeah, and it was like 4 classes a day. That's it, and it was the same class every day. School is a lot easier here, but the opportunities for athletes in here are just incredible.
right.
Um,
That's something I hear quite a bit, actually. And
Oh,
my
yeah.
wife says that all the time, that she's like, we stay with the same class from kindergarten all the way through graduating. And then once they ended up graduating and doing their thing, like there was no PE or anything like that. You go straight to, yeah, if you're going to do any sort of sporting event, it's a club team outside and something definitely extra you have to do.
yeah, and you know, again, because of Mexico is not a rich country. Like if you wanted to play soccer, you play it on the streets.
Yeah.
Like there was no like only the good players or the players that could afford it went to academies. But the rest of us, you know, we had parents that worked. Both our parents worked from home, you know, both of our parents work, or if not, dad was working and mom was always at home with the kiddos. So if you wanted to play sports, you go out and play them.
Right.
And that was one of the cool things, you know, one of the things that I think made me grow as an athlete and as a coach. That no matter what size or what level you were in there and you were stuck with it.
I think that's something that, not to get into like, it's just something that's changing in our times, that we completely miss out on the idea of kids that are going out and just having some fun and putting stuff down. Like you said, it's almost a punishment that you have to go outside and leave your stuff. Whereas before, you know, the same way, like you go out and play a pickup game of baseball or, you know, soccer, stuff like that. I never really got into soccer too much until, well, just recently with my wife, you know, being from Europe and introducing it. And I have some friends that played it, stuff like that, but I never really quite got it. And I never hated it. It's just, it made sense to me. But like you said, it was a sport where it completely makes sense now that it's a sport, especially in like poorer countries and worldwide. You just need a ball, you know, and go out and some friend, whatever. You can be by yourself and do what you have to do, and it's a sense of unity to be able to pull that stuff together. So,
Or you don't need a ball. That's the beauty about soccer. Like I had friends, and we did this a couple of times where, you know, either our ball got we hit the ball into a roses bush and it popped, or like we were playing in the street and the car came after it, right? So I remember a couple of times friends will put like, hey, who has like old t-shirts and old rags from home? So put them in a big sock.
Yep.
And then put them in another big sock and stuff, and like make a ball out of a sock, or like a bunch of old t-shirts.
see, genius.
Like, and then you play outside. I mean, I think being able to be resourceful
Yeah.
and use your imagination was key for us.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, we force our kids to go outside and do stuff like that. We get a lot of compliments about how we can just, our kids will go outside and just do things. And I grew up with a lot of TV and stuff like that. And this, my parents were just busy working all the time and doing their thing. And we were just inside and, you know, they're shot and did what they could for that. But, you know, it's just something we got more and more used to, especially we came in at the cable age where all of a sudden cable was new and cool. We had all those channels and it just kind of became a part of the life and regimen. But when, you know, for us, like, my wife is awesome about, we have the one TV, we don't have cable, you know, our kids go outside and play, and they ask, like you said, like yesterday, you know, can we go outside and play for a while? And I'm like, well, it's getting kind of late, we're going to eat supper. And they just throw a fit about it.
Yeah.
Which, a little bit of me, even though they're throwing a fit about not going outside, yeah, exactly, just going, oh, win.
yeah.
So it's nice, yeah. They just wanted to, or like, they'll just go and play on their own or do things. You know, they can sit by themselves. So not nearly as much as my wife would like, but
Another thing that I missed about it was our neighborhood, or like the kids from my community. Of course, you make, you know, like a strong bond with like 5 or 6 kids growing up, right? And I remember there was days where I'll come home, do homework, or I'll come leave my backpack and live in the rest of the day. My mom would have no idea where I was, or, you know, whatever. They would just call each other's houses. Hey, have you seen Leo? Oh yeah, he was here like 20 minutes ago, but they left to such and such house. So like we were always together, and there was a community that always looked out for each other.
That's great, because I would say a lot of people wouldn't even know who or where to call if you ever do things like that. And like I feel silly because we live in a townhouse complex right now, but like we're like, don't leave this area of the street.
Yeah.
Because like it's people just speeding all over the place in this tight quarters. But we just don't know who and what and where. And my wife, like, she grew up in a multiplex house, a big apartment, and stuff like that. And she's like, that was the greatest thing. We just disappear. And our parents kind of knew where we were at, but we're just in the area. And they just phone called around if we had to. But yeah, I hate to say it, but like, I don't trust my kids out there running around and stuff like that. And it's just really hard because, you know, I'd like keep an eye on them and stuff like that. And I don't think it's being overprotective. It's just you can kind of see how you have to do that. Yeah. I think about it like how crazy it was. Like, yeah, I would disappear forever doing that stuff. So
I don't know. I think people in the States are way too private.
Yeah,
it's and understandably so. You know, like you have to protect your household. You have to protect your kids, but sometimes it feels like too much. Like. And again, it comes down to like you being able to trust your neighbors. Hey man, if I'm not here and the gas or, you know, somebody drops a package, can you please pick it up for me, you know? And it's rare when you find a neighbor that you do that here. As if Mexico, you know, you'd be like, you know, the neighbor got a package, and if they're not there, you just pick it up and put it in your house and leave a note like, hey man, we got it, come pick it up.
Yeah, my wife likes to try to do that stuff, but it weirds me out when she does those things, just because I'm like, what are you doing? Like, that's not your stuff. And then she's like, I just had it, and I'll just let them know, like, because I know they're out of town, so I just picked it up for them and let them know. I'm just like, can we do that?
Yeah,
like,
and maybe it's like cultural differences.
Yeah, a little bit, but it is like a thing about privacy, which I'll talk about anything, do whatever, and stuff like that. But it is just kind of interesting, like you said, how we're just a little bit different. But that's stuff that I admire. Like, I do love the sense of community, and I do like invite people to be a little more open to such things. And I think there's a lot of that around here still. It's just in a different capacity, a little bit. Yeah. So, picking up kids and doing different things like that. And we definitely have some super close friends. We've had some friends of ours, you know, last June. It was awesome. We said it was like they were like, oh, you're doing us a huge favor, but they have this really lovely property, lovely home, but they open up their doors to us and their families, stash the house full of groceries and everything, and they're like, use whatever you want, do whatever you want, we're going to be gone for 2 weeks, thanks for watching the dogs, enjoy. And, you know, I think that's great that they're willing to do that. And there's a lot of that. It just takes some time to open up that trust. So, yeah. You know, speaking of soccer, sorry, my was a little itchy. Speaking of soccer, how did soccer change your life, or just being a part of sports and doing those things?
Oh man, if it wasn't for soccer, I would not be here right now. That sport has been so good to me. It's more than a sport to me. You know, it's fed me for the past 15 years. It's put a roof over my head for the past almost 10 years. I'm lucky enough that I'm one of those people that wakes up every day, and I'm not doing it at this time, but coaching is, to me, is I don't know, it's like a drug, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Like
no.
I just like being around the sport. I played for so many years, and the sport, again, it gave me so much that it's time for me to kind of say, like, what can I get back to it?
Sure.
And my favorite ways, my favorite way of giving back to the sport that I love is by helping little guys, teaching, passing some of the stuff that I know to the little guys, and then hopefully they can fall in love with the sport just like I did.
Yeah, you can definitely tell that on the field when you're out there teaching those kids that you're there because you like it, not because you're just looking for something to do, or I don't think it's feeding your ego per se as a coach. I would say, that's a lot of credit I'll give to Bruce as well. Like, Bruce isn't coaching just to be in charge of something. If anything, I think he would love to not be in charge of so much some days, but because he's just so busy and just there's a lot of pressure on you guys as coaches. But coaching, there's a lot to be learned about it, but I think there's also a lot of instinct that comes with it, and you're just there and just putting things together. Anybody can go out and bark orders and just learn, study the game, but having that passion about your sport or whatever you're doing and just being able to give it a day in, day out, and the trouble with that, it's quite admirable.
I think one of the, we don't give enough credit to our mentors, and Bruce can tell you this. I can tell you the day that I had my first conversation with Frank Gernick. Because I did volunteer as a rec coach before for Norwalk down in Tennessee, my senior year high school. I did. I coach a rec team of like little 4-year-olds, but I thought it was just some that I would do for a volunteer thing, right? Mm-hmm. And then Frank Gernick just completely changed my life in Iowa.
One second, folks. If you don't know Frank Gernick, he's one of the coaches here in town, and Leo obviously knows him a lot better. My daughter just did his academy, which was awesome. He's a pretty short guy, but the way he talks and just carries himself, you'd swear to God he's 6'8". Like he's just a pretty impressive guy, and he knows his stuff. He's a pretty cool guy. So anyway, he's one of the local coaches here. Does a lot with the Dakota Alliance. So Frank,
every coach that I've had has changed my life in a positive way. I'm lucky enough that I haven't met a coach that has impacted my life in a negative way. Yeah. And it's just like everywhere. You got to take the good and then leave the bad, right? Every coach for us people complain like, oh, I used to hate this coach because he was mean to me, or I used to hate this coach because he was hard to me. It's like, take the good out of it. He was mean to you because he wanted to change you. Like, if I don't want to change you, I'm going to be nice to you all the time, right? And or like different people have different approaches. Maybe his approach wasn't the best, I guess is what I'm going.
Right.
But I think every coach has like the best intention for the kid.
Right. Yeah, there's definitely a lot more than commanding respect opposed to earning it.
Exactly.
Because the moment you command respect, you lose it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta give respect.
And I think that's the part that the kids like about you when you're out there, and the parents appreciate as well, as you keep everything in order, and like the kids are like, oh man, this guy knows what he wants, he's fun, he can really drive what we have. So
I don't know.
Bruce does the same. Like he pushes a lot of people to do better, and he helps them move at their not quite their pace, but just enough to keep it interesting for them, but not too hard where it's impossible. So a big part, like you say, is knowing how to motivate your players. Because everybody's different. Everybody reacts to different stimuli. Some players are visual, and some players are more like you have to talk to them individually rather than a group. So it's knowing your players really, when it comes down to. And again, I think I am where I am because of the mentors I had. And there's a bunch of local coaches here that have helped me, or that I've learned a lot from. Coach Barkas from Augustana, Coach Brock Thompson from SDSU, Coach Afa from USF. Really, not only as bosses or colleagues,
You know, I always saw them as mentors. Like every time I coach with someone, I see him as a mentor because you can always pick up some from someone.
Absolutely.
You know?
And I think there's teammates that are good mentors. That's something that I can give, Bruce credit for again, is that, he's only one guy, but he's smart enough to know that down here at the gym, and I know people get sick of me bragging about how awesome Next Edge is, but it is something that I really appreciate about this place, is that he's smart enough to know that he has good assets here and people that are training here, whether it be for fitness, anything else. And even when I was at my heaviest, I wasn't by all means a fighter or an athlete, but I liked it. I liked striking, doing these things. And some of my other coaches would put me with some of the beginner people to work with them. So like, okay, Cole's the patience to work with these people. He knows what he's doing fundamentally. Mm-hmm. And that's something Bruce is doing. It's like he's actually putting a title and asking people to be mentors and helping out some of the other people to make them available to come here and work. So having some good mentorship's huge.
Yeah. And then giving respect to your players, because I want to be honest with you, with technology, every kid has access to an iPad, right? Mm-hmm. So the trick that the brand new trick that somebody did in Germany, it's already on the internet, and somebody's watching it half around the world, and these kids are 6 or 7, and they're already pulling stuff that I can't do at 30, So I really like what you brought up about Bruce. Like sometimes I see a player that knows a trick better than I do, and rather than me, trying to show or trying to really embarrass myself, I'll ask a player, hey, can you show the rest of the people this? Know the strengths in your team, and then play off of them.
Well, it shows the mutual respect, which is huge, and that goes for teaching or anything else. And your kids are the same way. You can say, I don't know, but I know where to go get the answer, or I'm going to find it out. And they'll look at you and be like, oh, okay. Well, he admits he doesn't know, so he's humble. And there's just so much to be said for that. So, yeah, I definitely appreciate that type of stuff. Real quick, we got ourselves another plug, people. You ever been in a fender bender, Leo? Like some sort of a car accident or something? No? Ooh. Well, I've hit a deer, I've done a few other things. You got hail seasons coming up, but if you ever are, or you just might need a little light touch up, you can go down to Paint Performance Body in Baltic, South Dakota, located just off the exit on I-29. It's just a quick 10-minute drive. Keep in mind, not all auto body shops are created equal, and Paint Performance Body is no exception. They lay it all on the line, providing nothing but the best craftsmanship and customer service. They are locally owned, family owned. They have over 40 years of high experience. And you can check them out on their Facebook or website. I think Bruce might be even pulling them up here, but I know those guys personally, all of them. They do great work, and they do put their heart and soul into every job. So I do appreciate that, and they really give back to their community as well. So if you guys could show them a little love, if you ever have any sort of auto body fix, no matter how big or small, those guys put it in. So thanks for 20 seconds of your time.
Yeah, no.
So anyway, speaking of coaching, you get a lot of sideline coaches, don't you?
Yes.
How do you manage that? Because I know I used to, especially today's youth sports, parents are getting much more competitive, and they want nothing but the best, which is respectable. But also, I feel like you need to set healthy boundaries. Like, any advice for any parents out there that have any youth players that are really pushing their kids? And
couple of things. Don't focus on one specific sport at an early age. I'm huge into doing multiple sports, because at this age, high school and younger age kids you don't know what they're gonna like, Provide opportunities for your kids, and then also like different sports, work on different muscles, work on different, different movements that, eventually can translate into the sport that you want to do, for example, I obviously love soccer, but I like skateboarding.
Oh,
I
nice.
suck at it,
Yeah.
but I like it, and I think it helped me with my
Something else my
balance
wife's
a little
gonna love
bit.
you for.
What?
It's something else my wife's gonna love you for.
No, I cannot go more than 10 feet.
No, we like skateboarding quite a bit in our house too. Actually, I got some pretty sweet pictures I can show you of my son Liam skateboarding already. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, so maybe I'll go skating one of these days. He
Yeah,
can show me a trick or two, right?
Yeah. No, he'll probably fall over as
But-
well yet. But actually, there's a skateboarder from Spain. I absolutely love his stuff. I wish I could remember it right offhand. Man, I know I've shared his stuff before. He uses a producer, pro skateboarder out of Chicago, but he was a surfer who also was in gymnastics, and they made all sorts of. I'm thinking of this German guy named Fabio, but
Not the Fabio from the.
I gotta find it real quick. It's just driving me nuts.
No, but like I was saying, like the more sports you do at a younger age, the better it is for your
Yeah.
development. As far as the people coaching from the other sideline, everybody has their opinion. I had a mom. I used to have a team manager, Miss Teresa Sorrell, that one time gave me a great idea, because I was coaching and then there was a lot of bickering on the other side, right? And so this lady, the next day, she showed up. She goes, "Hey, coach, here you go," and she handed me a Walmart bag, and inside there was a bag of popsicles, of lollipops.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, "Go give them to the parents before the game starts." So like, I gave it to the parents. I didn't know where this was going, and then she got up and she said, "Okay, open it, keep it in your mouth, and don't say a word. Let the coach do his job." Okay.
Perfect.
At the time, it was kind of funny, but now looking back, my thing with that is when kids are in a setting, whether a group setting,
Mhm.
whether if it's playing basketball, baseball, or soccer. If mom yells and there's 50 people yelling, it's just human nature to recognize mom's voice or
Yeah.
dad's voice, right? So when you're coaching, and I'm again from a coach's perspective, you want one message, right? You want one message because maybe you're working on a specific thing at that game. Maybe you're not so much worried about scoring goals, but you're worried about possessing the ball,
Mm-hmm.
trying to keep your shape or whatever it is that you're working on that game, right? You want one message. It's hard to work when you have 50 different messages.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I think it's really distracting too. I mean, just like what I'm doing. Sorry to
Yeah.
interject, but I think it's, especially if that parent is really hounding on that kid at home, I think it's cool to be constructive. Like, my daughter, and she was playing one of her first games in the academy. They're out there developing, and we got a little bit frustrated because, she's a kid and she just kind of wanted to mess around, look around, do a few other things, and monkey around with her friends. But, talk about it. So that was like a character defining moment for me as well, to be like, okay, how am I gonna handle this? So then I'm like, all right, what kind of resources do I have? So I thought about it. What kind of tools are my toolbox? I'm like, okay, what do you think? Name one thing you did well today. So I'm letting her, and she's like, I passed the ball. And I'm like, that's excellent. You did pass the ball. You did good. What's something else you maybe did? Okay, good. And I'm like, is there anything else you can think of that you might need to work on today? She said, I could, and she came up with whatever she had, and I said, I think one thing you could work on next time is maybe keeping your head in the game a little bit. Like, it's okay to have fun with your friends, but I said, when you start losing that focus, you start losing your friends, and you're not being a good teammate then because you're messing around.
Yeah.
So, keep working on those other things, but I think the next thing you can work on is just keeping your head in the game a little bit. So, opposed to just yelling at her and pointing her out, making her feel bad and taking the fun out of the game, because she gave me the big doe eyes and wasn't sure what to expect out of it. But, there's a way to deliver good content and, make it constructive opposed to just telling them what's going on.
The thing about, when I went to college, I was a psychology major. I didn't graduate, but I've always been fascinated about like what what gets people going, like what's gonna make you perform, what's gonna get your attention,
Right.
how am I gonna get you to to do a task. And for me, one of the things is like with kids, you have to be a kid. Okay, you can't treat them like adults.
Right.
All right. And what I mean by that is body language is a huge thing for me with parents and their kids.
Mm-hmm.
When the kid comes out of the practice or game and dad is crossed arm and he's puffing his chest and stuff like that, like the kid already knows what's going to happen as soon as he gets in the car.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Why are we playing sports at this age? And it's very, very simple, because it's fun, because we want our kids to develop certain skills, because it's really, at the end of the day, it's not about the sport.
It's about social skills and
Exactly.
everything else.
Yeah. We're creating productive members of society, hopefully in the future.
Yeah.
Okay, because and I'm gonna go back to soccer. I have players that when I was coaching, they were awesome, and they love soccer and stuff like that. And then 3 years later, they lost interest and whatnot. They went on to college and they did a different thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now they look back to soccer, right? And I think like if you, what I'm going with this is, it's more than just the sport, right? It's about creating good habits. It's about teaching how to be a teammate. It's about creating a group, a good guy that's going to work in a group together.
Right.
It's about creating a sense of community and really about friendships. I can tell you, and I think anybody that has played any sports before, some of their best friends
came from the sport. Yeah, just like my best friend stuff came from doing martial arts, stuff like that. It's baseball.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt here.
Yeah,
Speaking of friends and sports, Adam Van Camp there. He and I work together. We're pretty good friends.
Oh, really?
And his wife.
Adam.
And of course, the Germinator, Regina. Would like to wonder why nobody's mentioned the current world champions yet.
Oh, of course she has to do that.
And then shout out for my sweet dear old ma. But mom and wife have your back, and then an old fling of mine, Adam. How's it going, buddy?
Adam.
No.
Have you ever seen Adam play?
I have not actually sat and watched him play. I know he's a very gifted athlete.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's more of a gifted athlete than he is a driver. No, Adam's like super. He's such a fun guy.
Yeah.
Like you can always count on him just to be doing whatever.
Yeah,
he's kind of like Mr. Magoo through life. Like he's got the sweetest side to him, but he also has this carefree attitude where things just work out somehow. And now I know it's because he's got an amazing wife at home. So like that. And that woman needs a Medal of Honor. But
Keys to the City, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Adam was one of the first people that I met when I moved to Sioux Falls in 2010.
Really?
Yeah, and I was.
He's a good guy to hook up with.
Yep. We didn't get to play on the same team, but I watched him play a couple of times because he used to play in one of my friends' team, and we hit it off through soccer. Again, sports, that community, right? And then I was lucky enough to coach his kid, Jack. Yep.
Yeah, he was one of the ones that said to go talk to you as well. So, yeah, and it's fun to just see how the community is. And that's how at Sioux Falls is pretty great, because the community is small enough where people do help each other. I get to learn and meet people and do some pretty fun things. So,
yeah, I mean, and that's one of the things I love about Sioux Falls. It's a big community, but it's such a nice community. Everybody's nice to each other. Everybody's, there is, I don't know. I still feel like I can go to a gas station and leave my car unlocked, and you can't do that in other cities.
Yeah, very much so.
You know what I mean? Like I still feel safe, if I go jogging late at night, maybe it's because of the neighborhood I live in, but I still feel like that small town mentality where people are gonna say hi, they're gonna open doors and stuff like that.
People will stop and they'll help, absolutely, which is great.
Yeah, and this is home for me. I left for Nashville last year and I came back because I missed it so much. I miss the town, I miss the community, I miss the people, I miss my soccer family. That was a big thing.
Yeah, I know a lot of people, when you said you miss your soccer family, like when we saw your announcement that you were stepping away, and you were heading back to Tennessee, everybody, like, I will say, like, I didn't know you at all, but I was like, oh, damn, that sucks. Like,
Oh,
yeah, like, oh, he's leaving. Like, you were definitely intricate part of the soccer community around here, for sure. I know for a fact, because there were a lot of people who are like, oh, he's leaving? Like, so then when we saw you come back that one day when we were at one of the practices out at the field house, all of a sudden here comes Coach Leo. It was just funny because somebody's like, hey, there's Coach Leo. And all of a sudden, oh, it is Coach Leo. And like, so I went up and like shook your hand. I know a lot of people are saying hi to you, but yeah, everybody's like, Coach Leo's back. Coach Leo's back. Really? Yeah, he's over there. And yeah, so everybody was really happy to have you back. It was quite relieving.
And I'm happy to be back. I really don't see myself going anywhere else. At least not at the moment. You know, I love the city. I like I told you before we started talking, I feel like, and this is by no means, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but I feel like my soccer family, it's closer than my actual family to a certain point, because I see them more than I see my own family, you know. My family members, my dad's side of the family, most of them live in the Nashville area. My mom's side of the family, most of them live in the California area down by San Fernando. You know, I'm alone here in the Midwest, but I don't feel alone.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Because of my soccer family, you know, and then in Iowa, I feel the same way. I feel like if I go to Iowa, I have a huge sense of community because I have my soccer family, you know. Coach, two of my best friends in the world and two of the greatest mentors I've ever had, to Chris Miguel and Ginger Miguel, were, you know, again, coaches that have changed my life. And that's one of the reasons that I kind of fell in love with coaching, because people were there when I needed them, and the people that were there were coaches, you know. And that's kind of my way of giving back. You know, 2 years ago I lost one of my best friends in the world, Daniel O'Hayan. He was a huge soccer guy here in town. He was, you know, he was very one of the guys that, you know, really started competitive soccer here in town. We lost him 2 years ago, and I remember we used to have really good conversations, and one of the things that he always hammered was, be the person you needed as a kid. And that really stuck with me. That was always, like, whenever we talked, whenever we joked,
really good advice.
that was always, like, it was kind of like our thing. You know, it's like, hey, man, we'll see you tomorrow. Hey, be the person you needed as a kid. And, you know, like, that was our thing, and that has been kind of my way of thinking, you know, ever since we lost him, you know, because I know it wasn't just heavy for me, it was heavy for the entire community.
Yeah, that's good legacy to leave behind. So yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, so you know,
speaking of community stuff, moving on, is Mr. John going there? Miss you, hugs and kisses. Yeah, not sure who he's talking to. I don't know. Maybe you know John.
No,
maybe he means both of us.
You know,
but
I feel okay, I'm going to tell you one of my biggest pet peeves about myself.
What's that?
I suck with names.
Yeah?
Oh, God, I mean, I know it's public now, but, I suck with names. It's so bad. And, you know, I think it's part of the reason that You
want to know a secret to that? And this is like, you like psychology, something that's really good to be able to do when you start meeting people and it opens up. Like, you're a pretty electrifying personality anyway to know. When you meet somebody, and you get to kind of know them, or you see them, and you just pick that person, and just kind of remember their name. Next time you see them, even if they don't know you well, call them by their name. You know, like, hey Leo, how's it going? And then you're like, oh, hey, and like make eye contact.
Yeah.
It'll start becoming easier, and then they'll want to kind of know you a little bit more and stuff like that.
No,
so, but it's speaking of the community stuff that John going, like, he's always been a pretty great guy. He does a lot for the veterans, veteran himself. He moved out to Minneapolis when we were flying to Germany. He wasn't around, but that guy was bending over backwards. We haven't seen him in a couple of years, and he's like, come stay at my house. Unfortunately, nobody's going to be there, but I'll give you my door code. You can come in, stay, eat, do whatever you want. You know, you come back, you can stay the night at our house. Just opened everything up for us. And, you know, again, that's one of the great parts about this community. It's just super awesome, like you said, just opening up that stuff. So.
And sorry, I don't mean to hammer how much I love this city and how much I like this community.
Don't apologize for that, because this is a great area, and there's a lot of good, exciting growth going on here.
I'm always going to be, like, Dakota Lions, it's always going to be a big part of my life, no matter what I go, no matter what my next step is. the color lines is always going to be family. You know, like that's one of those things that you wear those colors in your heart. You don't wear those colors in your T-shirt. You know, like black and white. I'm going to be black and white till the day I die. And that has a lot to do because of the kids and the community. When I had surgery about 3 years ago, and I think I was talking to you about it. And I wasn't able to drive or really do anything for 3 days. I was stuck at home for 3 days, really on bed rest. And I remember players will show up like every day with food, or they will show up with something, or just to check up on you, or hey coach, we brought you a movie, or hey coach, you know. And that has always been like, you know, I don't know. It's always going to stick with me, you know. And, you know, like my mom used to say, you're going to know your friends in jail and when you're in the hospital. And that has been the case. Yeah. Thank God I haven't been to jail yet, right? But but at the hospital. No, not that I know.
We'll take care of that today. All right, me and you. Here we go. Bruce, you in?
Yeah, we need a bodyguard.
Bruce is like, yeah, we need. Somebody's got to open the gym tonight.
But you know, that's that community. Like if there is an example, like somebody asked me, like, why do you love Sioux Falls so much? It's like, well, how much time do you have?
Yeah.
You know, I want to retire here. This is home. Like, this is my happy place.
Yeah. No, we're the same way. My wife and I travel a lot, and we've really ho-hummed around about maybe moving somewhere else. I love Minneapolis. We love Chicago. She wants the East Coast, warmer, blah, blah, blah. But no matter how many excuses we can try to make to try to leave the community to go do something different, we're still drawn here. And honestly, what it is, it's not the most ideal place for environment as far as, you know, just scenery and tons of things to do, and like the hot and cold swings, stuff like that in the wind. You know, you can complain about anything. You have that anywhere, really. But it's honestly the people in the community that really keep us here. It's
without a doubt.
Super awesome. Like I said, you know, I count on Bruce to come and do this stuff, volunteer his busy time in doing all the stuff that he does. You know, our other friends doing things. Like you said that about your players coming to you when you had surgery. Like when I had my knee surgery, and just any of my surgeries I've had really, but one that sticks out to me is when I had my knee surgery, and actually was kind of an idiot and got a vasectomy at the same time. I volunteered for it. My wife didn't make me do it. I was like, oh, I can only handle 2. But one of my good friends, coworkers, and she's our boxing coach here, Stephanie Egging, she came over and brought me a sandwich, and like we broed out, and she just hung out with me while I was off work, you know, with my knee, and she just chilled with me, brought me some food, and we hung out and watched TV and just BS'd, you know. And all that's because, you know, like you said, you became, you know, part of the team. She just came, and I have tons of friends like that, you know, that were super awesome and just come to me at some pretty tough times, or times you didn't expect them to, and which is solid.
And you know, I think that's why his logo is so great. You know, don't look for a gym, or look for a community. Yeah. And you can translate that to any sport. Don't look for a team. Yeah. Look for a community. And,
absolutely.
I love that slogan. Like, I might steal it.
I noticed that Dakota Lions actually kind of changed.
More than a club?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So, but it's such a good statement to have. Good, solid statement. Real quick, I noticed you got some tattoos there. I too am a tattoo guy. So yeah, I was always wondering about your tattoo on your finger. About
Do you see where?
Yeah, it's football, which is great. Because I was wondering, I'm like, man, Leo has his heartbreak. We all have our big heartbreak. Yeah. Nope, he's married to football. That makes sense. Yeah. But you know, if you ever need a tattoo, you can go down to Ink and Iron Tattoos to visit my friend. See what I did there? I slid that right in there. Down in Ink and Iron Tattoo, you can make an appointment, sit down, talk, get your ink on. Curtis is a great, great guy. He's a devoted father, grew up with him, husband. His wife's awesome, but he's a great artist. Check him out on Facebook, on Ink and Iron site. He can pretty much come up with any sort of custom design that you ask for. He's actually designing one of my logos I'm asking for, which is super cool of him, and working on some other tattoo ideas for me. I just got to wait to pay for those things because I got to pay for other stuff first. So I got to be a responsible adult, mouths to feed, friends to keep, such. Ink and Iron right there. So
nice.
Some good folks down there. But yeah, he's a pretty funny guy too. Kind of intimidating looking guy, but then you get to know him. He's just a great big tattooed teddy bear who's super fun. So
Cool.
Anyway, you know, so we're moving on with some of the soccer stuff in the community. Like, what else? What kind of future plans and goals do you kind of have, or what are you working on? What do you got coming up?
I want to get back into coaching.
Yeah.
I was told the other day that I need soccer more than soccer needs me, and I think they're right. Somebody very close to me made that comment because I told them, I was like, oh, I miss coaching so bad. I miss being on the field. It's like,
Yeah.
like I'm more myself when I'm around the soccer field. Okay, there's just no other way to describe myself. Like,
Yeah.
I am more myself when I'm on a green pitch.
Well, that's good. I mean, it means
And
see a pitch. That's a word that I've learned the other day. Thanks to the new Minnesota FC. I watched their YouTube video.
Yeah.
They got a great, and they're talking about the different. They put together is great because idiots like me that know nothing about soccer. So I'm like trying to teach my daughter about it. But yeah. Anyway, I caught pitch, and I'm like, I knew exactly what you meant.
So yeah, I was told, hey, you definitely you need soccer more than it needs you, and they're right.
Yeah.
I miss the kiddos. I miss talking to parents.
We'd love to have you back.
Yeah.
Man.
So I don't know what the future is gonna bring because you never know what's gonna happen.
Yeah. No, it's good to keep an open mind. I feel like people get too rigid. That's when you start to break. You got to follow kind of the natural fissures and sand flow in life because some good stuff will happen for sure.
Yeah.
Might have some missed opportunities that turn into great opportunities. So just
Yeah.
be open to that.
And as far as goals in life, I'm not looking to get rich off of soccer because if you ask any soccer coach, that's not the case.
Yeah.
We're not here for the money. I just want to be the best mentor I can be. I really want to hit hard on that Danielle Hayen message. Be the person you needed as a kid. That's if I have a goal in life is to make the kids fall in love with the sport as much as I do.
Sure.
And maybe not so much like play it and build a career off of it, but look back to it and smile. That's
that
my
is
goal.
excellent. You like my kids. They know who Coach Leo is. They know Bryce. I forget her first name. Lounsbury.
Michelle.
Lounsbury.
Oh.
Yeah. She's fantastic. I know her uncle, and that's I remember her last name. But my kids absolutely adore her. Or my daughter does for sure.
Michelle Lounsbury was when I first moved to South Dakota. She was I took on my first ever team as a head coach. After 5 years of being a mentoree in Des Moines, I moved to South Dakota in 2010, and Michelle Lounsbury was on that U12 team. And I got to tell you, that group is always going to be special, you always remember your first kiss, you always remember your first car, your first house or whatever, right?
Yep.
That first group as a head coach is always going to be special to me. Right now, they actually just graduated from high school, all of them. So congrats to
awesome.
all my players, and I know there's going to be a couple of players playing, like Teresa Pujado is going to Nebraska. We have a couple of girls going to SDSU. Really, and the guys the ladies that are not playing anymore, it's okay, soccer is always going to be there for you. But Michelle is always going to be special for me because since she was 12, we had we kind of bonded, and then she started coming to help out as a volunteer with the youth programs at the Dakota Lions when she was 13, just a volunteer. She was pretty much just putting cones down. And when it was a very special moment for me when I was leaving for Nashville, and Frank asked me, who do you think should run this program? The first person I thought of was Michelle. She was 17 at the time. She was not an adult, and she obviously couldn't run the program by herself.
Right.
But that kid is just special.
She
the way she handles herself.
I would agree. She was very mature. I think of myself I'm in my mid-30s now, and I'm still a knucklehead. But you can tell some of the younger guys that are out there trying to learn coaching and stuff like that. Michelle is definitely the boss. Like when she's out there on the field and you got like the other younger boys that are out there doing their thing, Michelle speaks and she says it in a way. She reminds me of my wife in that way. Like she says it and it's like, oh, Michelle meant it. Like, and she just, the kids really gravitate towards her and she's super awesome. And you can tell that, you know, and you compliment her. Like I went up and shook her hand. I'm like, hey, I really appreciate what you're doing. Like you're doing a great job. Keep it up. But you can tell she's just like, you kind of had that like new like sure, I still trying to figure out what I'm doing, but I'm like, you're doing an awesome job. Yeah, you could just tell in the body language, but she was awesome about that stuff.
And the cool thing about that is
she should hold her head up high.
It was, I mean, and there's a bunch of kids. I mean, Noah Peterson was incredible for me. Landon Welch, Noah Anderson, Derek Peters. I mean, Mason Stolley, he works out of with T Tempo. There were players of mine that really wanted to give back to the community, and you know they're doing so, and that's like one of my biggest like heart, you know, like it makes my heart really happy when I see someone that I used to coach giving back to the sport
and doing well. That's awesome. I'm pretty excited to see soccer. Like I said, I'm pretty new to it, but I'm having more fun with it. I'm watching more stuff and I'm trying to help my daughter. I like coaching and teaching. I like doing that stuff. You know, I've offered my services to Bruce, but Bruce is smart enough to be like, I'll use you when I need you, buddy.
Wink, wink.
I really like doing that stuff. So it's like, you know, I told Frank, I'm like, I don't know anything about soccer, but if you need just somebody to help just walk around and keep control of the cats, if you will, crown the cats, like I'll definitely help you. And like just whatever you need, like and it's a lot of fun. And I'm having fun learning about the new sport. And the parents are pretty chill. And like, you know, I've met some pretty cool parents doing that stuff. So, which is great. Again, it's part of the community of it. I had a couple. I know we're about to run out of time here, but we like to keep it right around an hour. But the Germinator, Regina, she had a couple questions she wanted me to ask you. I can feel my phone vibrating, and I'm sure it's her saying, "Why haven't you asked the questions?" You know, you said you got the dad on the sideline with his arms crossed. Yeah, that's Regina at home right now on the internet watching me with her arms crossed.
Where's my question?
Yeah. One of them was Germany's world champion. Not a question, just a statement that needs to be made more than once.
Fair enough.
So second time. She comes from Gelsenkirchen, Schalke 04. So I was pretty cool, go to a Bundesliga game. We actually just watched them practice outside, which was pretty fun last time we were there. So that was a pretty cool opportunity.
I think I talked to you about that when you guys were just coming back, right?
Yeah, one of your favorite players from there, yeah. So, she said, how in the world can you handle that many annoying, obnoxious, loud children at once? Which we've talked about. You love kids doing your thing. But Regina, she's just being silly in that. Because to you, they're not. Like, see, look at his face. He's appalled by that. Eh?
No, I'm not appalled. I just,
look at his face, Regina.
It's very easy.
That is a man who loves. Like, good.
It's very easy.
No, I agree. It's just how you handle it. Yeah, be a kid and do your thing. Like, one of my favorite things is when the kids are playing swarm ball. You, like, stop and they're all running and you're like, hey, stop. Are there cookies here? And all the kids are like looking around like, oh my God, are there cookies? And they're like, no, there aren't any cookies. What are you doing? Are you crazy? And then you're like, no, there aren't any cookies here. Get out of here. Spread out. And then all the kids are like, oh, okay. And then they spread out. It's super awesome. It's fun to see. Like I said, kind of the Pied Piper. But,
I try to relate as much as I can to them. And, you know, I think anybody that I get this all the time, that I'm like the biggest kid on the field.
Yeah.
And I would agree. That's a compliment.
But it's super fun because you're out there doing your thing. And I know, like, I joke that, you know, moms love you, dads want to be you. But it's because you are so fun and you're passionate about what you do and you give a lot to the community in that sense. And like I said, we love having you back, man. Like, I was happy that you responded and Regina was all over me. Like, you got to get Leo on, you know, talk about stuff. Because I'm like, no, I agree. Like, I would love to have you back, talk about some more stuff, especially as it keeps going. But I would love to connect with you a little bit more, like outside of here. So, yeah, for sure.
What's the other question before you?
We already touched on it, actually. But thanks for looking out for my safety. She just wanted to know how you handle parents that act like coaches, sideline yelling, and etc.
I think education.
Yeah, for sure.
There is a website. If everybody has Facebook, keep it on the deck.
Keep it on the deck.
Yeah. Or there is another one that I follow religiously. Changing the Game project is
Changing
one.
the Game project.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite. And I'm not doing a plug because I don't work for them or anything, but Changing the Game project is
That's
one
a
of the
good book.
best. It's a website. Well,
They have a book too.
yep, they do have a great book too.
Cool.
And they have a lot of resources. Talk about.
Yeah, we'll
Sorry.
definitely put some of that in the notes. No, that's good resources to put on. I know Bruce has a lot of cool coaching stuff. I know Bruce does a lot of producing, but I have him as a guest one day just because he does have a lot of cool stuff to say. So one day I'm going to ask him to wear 2 hats and dive into that beautiful brain of his.
Never gonna happen.
Yeah,
So for me,
I'll get you.
really, just with the parent side,
Yeah.
just think back and when you were going to little league practice, okay, and you had a bad practice. What kind of reaction do you want your dad to have when the moment you went into the car?
Yeah,
What kind of
absolutely.
reaction do you want your dad to rip on you because you had a bad practice? You already feel miserable. Okay, you feel bad about yourself because you didn't do good. You feel bad that you let people down because at that age, that's what they're thinking.
Right.
Dad is here, and I want to impress my superhero. And if you get in the car and your superhero turn into a supervillain, okay, do you really enjoy the sport, or is it bringing back memories? Like, are you really going to attach it to positive or negative? You know, and really that will be the message for me to parents. Do you want to be the superhero the moment they jump in the car? And I don't mean like praise them and tell them they're the best, but like, hey, do you have fun?
Have a constructive conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have fun? What do you learn today, man? Like, I don't think we ask enough questions. I think we give a lot of directions, and we don't ask enough questions.
Yeah, you definitely
At
need to
times.
respect your kids. They are their own people, and they're going to do their own thing. And I think that goes to anybody. But yeah, kids get overlooked a lot.
And
for
they're
that stuff.
and they're tiny adults.
Yeah.
I mean, they're kids. I don't know. You gotta find. Everybody's different, and you gotta find. You know your kid better than anyone else.
Right.
You know what makes him tick. You know what makes him be happy. You know, you want to be a superhero. You want to be a supervillain.
Right.
Because people don't remember what you said. People will remember how you made them feel.
Yeah, I agree. Again, I think that's a good thing to end on. I really love that. You know, be the person you needed as a kid. So that was absolutely huge. Again, thanks Leo for coming out. I'd love to have this conversation again sometime and dive into some other stuff, talk about stuff you got coming up. But again, keep in touch. You know, real quick again, I'd like to thank Leo. You know, thank the Academy, Next Edge Academy of Martial Arts. You got the Soccer Alliance Club. I was thinking the Academy for Soccer. Frank's program, which is awesome. You know, Performance Paint and Body, Curtis at Ink and Iron Tattoos. You know, 6 Technologies, another one. You know, whether it's your whole house audio system, home theater, security, or automation system, 6 Technologies can design a solution that fits your budget. But thanks again, everybody. I appreciate you listening. If you ever have any questions for our guests coming up, when I put it out there, I'm going to get better about putting it out a little earlier. Feel free to shoot it out, or if you want to write us on Facebook. As you see, Bruce pulled that stuff up earlier, and I'm going to start sharing this stuff to Facebook, YouTube, and I'm also going to download the audio files to start sharing it on iTunes and Google Play. I know it's really hard for people to dedicate an hour to watch this stuff on Facebook, so I do appreciate any time that you give to it. But if you like the program, share it, like it, comment, do whatever you got to do. Let me have it. Have a little fun. I'm a fun guy. Again, thanks, Leo, for everything that you do, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. You're a great guy. I'd love to have you back, man.
And I just want to say goodbye by saying thank you to the Core Alliance. Thank you to every coach that I had. Thank you to every mentor, Chris, Ginger, Frank. You know, Ermols. I don't have enough time to thank everyone. The guys at ODP, the South Dakota State Soccer Association, and really the biggest one goes to my players. Thank you to every single one of my players, and I've been lucky enough that I coach kids from 2 to I've coached players older than me, and I don't care if you're 3, I don't care if you're 88, you're still gonna be one of my players. Okay, if you need anything, just please know that Leo is there for you. Like, I don't care what it is, and I don't care what time it is, and it really doesn't matter how old you are. You're always gonna be one of my players, and I'm here for you.
Beautiful. Thanks, man.
So
Yeah.
thank you
Well,
again.
I know you mean that, so appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good day, everybody. Have a great weekend. Happy Father's Day out there, especially you, Steve Bovey, my father.
Hey man, thank you again.
Yeah, it was good, right?
I was sweating the whole time.
Yeah.